Hi everybody, I'm sharing this because I think it's really serious and it's really, really important. And I think it is important, especially to Trump supporters, really, because I understand people being patriotic and stuff. I mean, I don't really understand the xenophobia and racism that appears to be associated with being patriotic. But, well, because as far as I'm concerned, then if one isn't upholding human rights and the law, then what's the point of patriotism? And fascism, you see, isn't a choice, it's a crime. And the kind of rhetoric that people like Trump and Farage here support, this far-right extremism that does attack and denigrate women and people of ethnic minorities, faiths, gender even, basically anything. Judge, judge, judge. Negative judgments against people, causing division and conflict within a society, finding reasons to persecute and hate people. This isn't coming from anywhere, any sense of balance or sanity. Okay, that isn't a nation of people. It doesn't matter what their ethnicity is or their faith is. What matters for a nation of people, for that nation to be powerful and truly strong and a shining light to the world, is to have respect for the law. You see, because that is where freedom comes, with respect. A society, a nation that has no respect for the law can never be a free nation, because in such a society there will always be people who are above the law, and whenever you've got people who are above the law, then they will commit crimes, they will be able to commit them with impunity, they will attract other people that want also to commit crimes and profit from them in the same way, and they will all be above the law. So then you've got no law. What you've got is a fascist dictatorship. Now, a democracy was never created in order for people to choose a fascist dictatorship. You see, that's the whole point of the Constitution, was to prevent that from happening. And really, it is only in the 21st century, with the level of social engineering and manipulation that has gone on, through the antics of organisations like Cambridge Analytica, that Nigel Farage has benefited from. This whole Brexit thing is their creation, really. It really is testament to that level of engineering and social programming that somebody like Trump, even as a bragging self-confessed sex offender, could actually even dare to stand up as, as, as a candidate to be president, and that the Republican Party would even back such a candidate. And that's just with his confession. Okay. Because there's no respect there. Like I say, where there's no respect, there's no freedom. So any true patriot would never vote for a disrespectful man or woman. Which is why I'm not surprised that Hillary lost, because she is again a disrespectful woman. But here we are, Julian Assange is leaked. Chelsea Manning leaked to Julian Assange, who then leaked through WikiLeaks the footage of American soldiers committing crimes, war crimes against innocent Iraqi citizens. and Chelsea Manning was at that time a USA military officer, and such activity puts the rest of the American military that's in places like Iraq at risk, because it's criminal activities, and so therefore people of that nation become hostile towards this isolated occupying force. And don't forget, America was allegedly in Iraq to help the Iraqi people, not there to shoot them and murder them indiscriminately. So because Julian Assange helped with this, you know, there was all kind of charges issued against him, including a rape charge suddenly from Europe, and then next minute he's found refuge in the Ecuadorian London embassy, and then suddenly it appears recently Ecuador's done a deal, some sort of financial deal with America in return for kicking Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy. Police are invited to come in and arrest him. British police. He's in jail for skipping bail now, apparently, and facing extradition to America to face charges that basically would land him in jail for 170 years, apparently. And none of the people that committed the war crimes have been called to account as a result of this. And don't forget, it wasn't just the soldiers, because the soldiers did ask for the go-ahead from their superiors. So ultimately it goes higher up than the soldiers that actually committed the offence. And so meanwhile, Trump's proposed Memorial Day pardon dishonours veterans and perverts justice. Pardoning war criminals would be the worst way to celebrate a holiday dedicated to those who sacrificed everything so that we can live in a just society. And it is so true. In May, President Donald Trump pardoned former USA Army Lieutenant Michael Behana, who was convicted of stripping naked, torturing and then executing an unarmed Iraqi man in 2008. We now hear that Trump is considering pardoning other war criminals as some kind of grotesque Memorial Day celebration. While Trump may think such actions honour the sacrifices of our veterans, they actually do a disservice to all law-abiding US soldiers, endanger military members currently serving in hostile environments around the world, and send a morally indefensible message to Americans and non-Americans alike. These contemplated pardons represent a degradation, not a celebration of Memorial Day. Let's look at some of the men the President is reportedly thinking about pardoning. Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher is scheduled to be tried at court-martial in June. He is charged with multiple counts of murder, obstruction of justice and bringing discredit upon the armed forces. In one incident, Gallagher is alleged to have used his sniper rifle to shoot and kill an elderly Iraqi man and a schoolgirl, both unarmed and posing no threat to anyone. He's also charged with murdering a teenage Islamic fighter who was being held as a military prisoner by stabbing him to death and then proudly posing with the corpse. Several of Gallagher's Navy SEAL teammates are expected to testify against him. And, you know, in his case, his teammates reported him repeatedly and nothing was done. Because this is what I mean, the majority of the soldiers, it's your odd bad apples, isn't it, that either get people to collude with them or put their teammates at risk. And you know, I mean, that isn't what these people, the vast majority of American soldiers, they join the army because they want to defend and protect their nation. Okay? They do not join the American army in order to support murderers. To have a murderer as a pal, it's like, yeah, thanks, I've got a gun in my hand, I can go around killing people with it now. I'm in the army. His own teammates actually reported him. So that's what Trump wants to do. To pardon people like him. For Memorial Day. For Memorial Day. But meanwhile, Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning, they can be arrested, charged, imprisoned because they have exposed the crimes committed by the kind of people Trump wants to pardon. I mean, that is really serious. I mean, basically what he's doing, he's sending a message out to the world that, hey, look, you know my army? They're a set of mercenary thugs. And I'll send them where they like, and they'll kill who they like, and they'll torture you, they'll come into your country and commit all these crimes. And we will exonerate them. We will not prosecute them. We'll only prosecute the people that talk about the crimes that our soldiers commit, that the criminal soldiers among our army. We will only prosecute the people that expose their crimes, and we will come down hard on them. So, listen to this.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. I know nothing really about them. It's not my deal in life. I don't really have any opinion.
WikiLeaks. 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 Oh, we love WikiLeaks. This WikiLeaks stuff is unbelievable. Man, WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks. 33,000 emails. 33,000. But we'll talk about that in a minute. We have to go back to WikiLeaks. Oh, WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks also shows something I've been warning everybody about for a long time. The media is simply an extension of Hillary Clinton's campaign. You saw it. You saw so many of the things. I'll tell you, this WikiLeaks stuff is unbelievable. It tells you the inner heart. You got to read it. They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks. Oh, we love WikiLeaks. Boy, they have really, WikiLeaks, they have revealed a lot. They've revealed that there's a great hostility toward Catholics. They've revealed that there's a great hostility toward evangelicals. I mean, this WikiLeaks is fascinating. And you know, as I was getting off the plane, they were just announcing new WikiLeaks, and I wanted to stay there, but I didn't want to keep you waiting. Let me run back into the plane and find it.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. It's not my deal in life. It's not my thing. I know.
So he knows nothing at all about WikiLeaks, and you've just seen that he does. So therefore you've got him barefaced lying. I mean, it is atrocious and it is very serious when we understand that, you know, there's all this stuff about, well, regardless of what anybody thinks about this Russia investigation, which, like myself, I believe it was a whole red herring and distraction, but nonetheless, the investigation has happened and the evidence says that there's enough evidence there to arrest and charge him for obstruction of justice, and that were he not president, he would actually have been arrested and charged for obstruction of justice. Okay? So, apparently as president, he is above the law. Now, it's not really set in stone that a president can't be charged for criminal actions. It's a sort of etiquette at the moment. Maybe that needs to be challenged. You know, maybe people need to say, excuse me, you know, when it comes to the law, nobody can be above it. Let's forget this etiquette about not arresting a president. When a president's lawfully suspected of committing a crime, then like everybody else, he needs to be charged, arrested, charged, and stand trial. Do you see? But apparently he's got to be impeached first or leave office, and then he can be arrested and charged for obstructing of justice. Now, it's a very serious thing when a president is lawfully suspected with evidence of obstructing justice, because justice is the prime function, upholding justice is the prime function of the presidential office, because the system of law is the foundation of the Constitution, and every president has sworn an oath to uphold and honour the United States Constitution. So already, before he's even said any of this, we have got the we've got the Mueller report, haven't we, explaining that he is a lawful suspect. Now, either he's a pathological liar, or he is lying because he's got a hidden agenda, a covert hidden agenda that is so despicable that even he don't even risk his own supporters learning about it, because if they did, they would dump Trump like a hotcake. Okay, or he's suffering from some form of mental illness, you know, amnesia or dementia, so he can't even remember what he was doing and saying 2 years ago on such a grand scale. And we can't forget that whether or not people believe that these leaked emails did or didn't influence the American elections, there's no doubt that he won only by a marginal amount. And maybe it was just that, and maybe it was only a marginal group of people that were influenced by the Hillary emails to the extent that they voted for Trump. So therefore that marginal influence may have just swung the election in his favour, though we also have to accept that he did not win the popular vote, and the only reason why he's president is because of the Electoral College, which previously had given America another scoundrel president, George Bush Jr. But like I say, this is a very, very serious issue when your nation is being governed by a guy with, you know, he's got his finger on the nuclear button. He's threatening war with Iraq, and actually created war by him because he's chosen to rip up the peace agreement between the pair of those, you know, America and Iran. He's chosen to end that treaty for no good reason, no evidenced reason. He's put sanctions on Iran, and he's now sending warships out there. And I think he's sending 10,000 troops at the moment, but ultimately he wants 120,000 American soldiers to be going out there. Yeah, give us 120,000 of your children, American citizens that you've worked so hard for to raise. Okay, just give them to me, and I'll go and squander their lives on a trumped up war with Iran, because that's exactly what it is, a trumped up war with Iran. I will squander their lives, but meanwhile, you know, we're going to create a big fuss here because we're so against abortion, we're so pro-life, we want to, that baby in the womb is a human being, there's a heartbeat with full human rights. Yeah, bring them to us so we can squander them in wars against nations that actually aren't even posing a threat to us. But so it's serious then, isn't it? Because this is what I mean. You're dealing with a pathological liar, or somebody who's covertly serving a nefarious agenda that has demanded the arrest of Julian Assange, probably wants to shut down WikiLeaks, probably is very scared about what is coming out now and wants to put the scares on the whole of the media to the extent that suddenly reporters have already been arrested and murdered around the world anyway. But in countries like Britain, Europe, America, generally they're free. But apparently not. Apparently not. You can end up 170 years in jail for exposing America's war crimes. America that wants to commemorate Veterans Day by pardoning war criminals, arresting people that exposed them. And here, all at behest of this obviously fully controlled reality TV show host puppet president, who, according to what's being shown here, you're either, like I say, you're either dealing with a pathological liar, somebody being operated like a puppet on a string, or is suffering some severe form of mental health issue. All three of those things are a threat against all American citizens, whether they're Trump supporters, Democrat supporters, Green Party supporters. Regardless of what politic you support, this isn't about politics. Because, a nation that is not following and upholding a just and humane law, as the Constitution was designed to uphold, that's not a free nation. Because where there's no respect, there's no freedom, you see. So a nation that has no respect for the law, for human rights, for human dignity, balance, sanity and reason, that's a nation that's going to be governed by crime and criminals. That's a nation that's going to tolerate some people being above the law. It's going to tolerate that the most powerful, richest people are going to be above the law. That's a very serious threat, because then the whole country's going to suffer crimes. Those individuals who are free to commit crimes with impunity are going to attract and invite more of those kind of people, exactly the kind of people who want to commit crimes with impunity. They're the ones that are going to be invited into power, and every form of power, from finance to local authorities, to running the education system, to running the Supreme Courts, to being president. And really, perhaps Trump is a big wake-up call for America to realise that, look, we have to take steps to make sure that no such individual as Trump can ever even stand for president. Somebody who is a bragging self-confessed sex offender should never have even been able to stand for president. How did that happen? It's, what's gone on here. As I say, this is very serious. This is a very serious form of evidence, because he is committing perjury, absolute blatant perjury, in front of the American people. You can't ignore that level of, that is a crime in itself. That is a crime in itself. What he's saying is that, look, the truth is whatever I say it is. Reality is whatever I say it is. No, that's not the way things work. That is a really serious risk if you're going to live by that level of consciousness. And as I've said in my previous video about Nigel Farage, you know, fascism, far-right extremism, or even extreme leftism, as in the form of Stalinist Russia, those aren't choices. Those are that is a crime. That's a crime. Okay, and it is never a choice to commit a crime. That isn't that's not a choice, in the sense of a valid, lawful choice, is it? It's not a lawful choice to choose to commit crime. It just can't be. You see, so fascism is not a political choice. A democracy is not created in order for people to be able to choose fascism. A democracy is established fundamentally to prohibit the rise of fascism. And so a democracy needs to take steps to make sure that never again are the American people subject to the kind of antics and mechanisms these far-right extremists have been using in order to manipulate the American people and even persuade them to vote against their own and their national interest, their own personal and their national interests. Because he has damaged America, and American citizens need to reclaim it back. And the only way that people can do that, because it's not like you can stand against these people, they've got the bombs, the bullets, the chemical and biological weapons. The only way that we defend ourselves against this attack, because it is an attack, is by standing with and supporting the genuinely good, caring, honest, law-abiding, compassionate, equals intelligent citizens among us, and that we support those. That's how we do it. Not by hating these people, but by supporting what is good and right in our nation. That's true patriotism. True patriotism stands by the law, is respectful, is respectful. And yeah, America does need to impeach him, and America needs, I mean, maybe Nancy Pelosi was right that his family and staff need to take action, because is this evidence here that he is suffering from some serious mental health problem? How could anybody say that? How could any sane person be able to sit in front of the world's press and say that he knows nothing about WikiLeaks, when we all know that he's spent months and months praising them to the hill on the world stage at every rally? That is a serious level of perjury. There has to be an explanation for it. There has to be. And as I say, whichever explanation you choose, it's not good. It does not bode well.